guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. Okay, so today I am going to be reviewing Blake Crouch's Dark Matter. Can you guys see it? Have you seen this book? I mean, I literally saw it on Goodreads, and it was getting like, because this cover is so noticeable, I was seeing it like on all of these people's, like, they're reading it, their list of currently reading it, and I was like, I've got to read this book. So anyway, before I say that, let me just talk about book reviews for a second. You know, I think it's kind of ironic, my hat will not sit on my head straight. Okay, I think it's kind of ironic that on BookTube, a lot of people do not love book reviews, right? In fact, I don't love book reviews on BookTube. I don't really like to watch a book review until I have read the book myself, which would make sense, obviously. And I think that people are very afraid to watch book review videos because they don't want the book spoiled for them, which I totally understand. And I don't even like to watch spoiler-free videos because I don't want to really know anything about it. And actually, the more and more I read, the more that I like to go into a book not really knowing anything about it, which is interesting because I totally went into Dark Matter. Let's look at it again, shall we? Having no idea whatsoever what this book was about. See? It's coming across as orange, but it's really red and black. And so anyway, but that being said, I have decided that I am going to start doing a book review for every book that I read. I think it's fair to the author. I think it's fair to you guys. I think it's fair to me looking back, and I sometimes want to maybe remember what I thought about that book. Did I like it? Did I not? Because when I go on Goodreads and I see that I gave a book like 4 out of 5 stars, or 2 out of 5 stars, or 5 out of 5 stars, like sometimes I want to know why I gave it that book. So I want to have like video, you know, documentation, corny, right, of why I review the book that way. But I mean, I'm on BookTube, so I might as well be doing book reviews, right? So anyway, and I think I'm going to make a point of trying to start watching more and more book reviews. And the funny thing is that there are several booktubers that I watch all of their book reviews, like Connor O'Brien. I watch all of his book reviews. Richard at Books and Bullshit, I watch all of his book reviews. But the reality is that most of the books they read are high fantasy and middle grade, and that's not typically what I read, so it's not like it's spoiling something for me. In fact, it kind of introduces me to maybe worlds of books that I wouldn't normally read, which is why I do that. So when they start talking about a book, I'm like, oh, I think I would like to read that. And they don't ever really spoil it so bad that I wouldn't want to go into that book because I would know everything about it, if that makes sense. Okay, so that being said, let's talk. I will be doing book reviews from now on. That was my point. Did you get it? Okay, if you don't like that, get over it. I mean, you don't have to watch them, but I'm going to do them, so. Because, I mean, yeah, BookTube. But anyway, so let's talk again about, I'm trying to pull up my picture, Dark Matter. And you may be asking yourself, Peter, why do you keep on pulling that up on your phone? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I listened to it on Audible, and it was fantastic on Audible. So let me tell you what the story is about. And first of all, I think this was actually one of the selections that you could pick for the Book of the Month Club last month. And I actually skipped over August because I thought all of the choices were poor. I didn't know anything about this book. But it's about this guy, and he is a physicist that works for a college, a local college, and it's supposed to be kind of like Northwestern in Chicago. And when it opens, it's like this October night, and he's like hanging out with his wife, having a glass of wine, and their life is very mundane. And he is supposed to go see an old friend of his that's won this award that's very similar to like the Pulitzer for science. And this friend is kind of like, you really haven't done anything with your life and all this kind of stuff. And then after that, he's on his way home and he gets mugged by this guy that has a mask on that he has absolutely no idea what is going on or why he's mugged or any of this kind of stuff. And then he's shot up with this drug. And then from there on out, I'm not going to tell you because you have to read the book. But let me just tell you guys, okay, this book is so fantastic. When I started listening to it, I was like, it's not science fiction-y, it's scientific. And on the heels of Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel, both of which are very scientific books, I was like, are these books out of my league? Not at all. So I'm listening to this book, okay, which is a very much on the run kind of book. If you like exciting thrillers, it is totally an exciting thriller. And if you're from Chicago, you have to read this book because it takes place, the whole thing, in Chicago. And if you like fall in Chicago, autumn, you definitely have to read this book because it takes place in autumn in Chicago. And the way that Blake Crouch describes Chicago in the fall, which I've been to Chicago in the fall many, many times. I was actually born in Chicago. in Evanston. And so like I know Chicago very well in October, November, and he describes it, I mean, perfectly. And it made me really want to be there. And the descriptions of like the food and the smells and everything in this world that he creates is fantastic, okay? I was about, let's say, 2 hours into this book. I knew nothing about Blake Crouch. I knew nothing about Dark Matter except for that it was the to-read book of everywhere that I saw. And so I got on Goodreads and I pulled it up and I looked at him and I was like, he doesn't look familiar to me at all. But I was like, but his book is so fantastic. Is this like his debut novel? I'm always so behind, right? So I went to his page and I was like, are you shitting me? So this guy is the one, Blake Crouch, this guy's the one. Blake Crouch, I was thinking about this today, that some people do such technological reviews and book discussions, and mine are like, well, this dude who wrote this book about this chick that had this, and yeah, and then this guy fell in love with this girl, but he really, my reviews are so funny. So anyway, and somebody was like, it's totally like you're coming into my kitchen and just sitting there talking to me about books. Yep, that's kind of how it is. So it's probably not going to get a whole lot deeper and be like, well, the protagonist of the 4th chapter. It's never going to get like that with me, so no worries here. But anyway, I was like, so like, who is this author? Blake Crouch wrote the books The Pines that are the premise for the TV show Wayward Pines, which I absolutely loved. But let me tell you about Wayward Pines. So if you didn't watch the show, it's about this FBI agent that goes rogue and then he goes missing and he ends up like in this Stepford town. It's very bizarre. And he doesn't really know what's going on. Okay, so I was like in episode 5 of watching Wayward Pines. Now, if you watch Wayward Pines, you'll know what I'm talking about. I was like in episode 5 and I was like, I don't think I'm watching it past this episode. And literally on episode 5, baby, that story owned it. I mean, Wayward Pines was incredible. Like, Blake Crouch brings this idea forward that you did not see coming at all. And then, when you think he's topped himself, he does it again, and then again. And you guys, that's what he does in Dark Matter. Like, every time I thought, this book cannot get any more explosive or crazy, he does it again and again. And it's like all this scientific shit that he talks about in total layman's terms, so it's so easy to understand. I mean, you guys, I was so worn out by the end of this book. I felt like I had gone on Jason Desson. That's the main character's name. I felt like I was Jason Desson. And that being said, okay, it is very much a love story. At its core, it is one of the greatest love stories I have ever read. It is so fantastically done that it's about all this scientific stuff and all this kind of stuff, yes. But it is also about just a love story, okay? And questioning our place in the world. It is fantastic, okay? So go read it. I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely no doubt about that. 5 stars, well-deserved. I hope it has a sequel, but I don't think it will. And I can't wait to read more of Blake Crouch. So if you guys like this review, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. It's free. Why not? And follow me on all of my social media stuff. I love you guys. Bye.